Hello student, today we'll study about the electric field. In this topic, we'll first take the topic of introduction, electric charges and types of charges. Before starting with the main topic, let's take the introduction part. First of all, we'll understand what is electric field and how this phenomena occurs. In this, we'll understand first of all the electrostatic phenomena that can be observed through many ways. Let us take the first way. When we rub the glass rod with the silk cloth, we see that the glass rod acquires some charges. Some kind of attraction is there, and it can attract a small bit of paper or a small bit of straw. That actually shows some kind of static charges. Also, if we rub the inflated balloon which is inflated properly, it's been rubbed with the cloth and we stick it to the wall, it will stick to the wall for several hours. This is all because of the static charge. So we can understand how charge initiates in this. Now we'll understand the very important term, what is electric charge. Then we'll come to the electric field because it's a broad topic. So electric charge means basically how we can initiate these kind of process, what we have shown earlier, that with the glass rod and the silk cloth, or in other case we can take certain other material. So I'll take the term electric charge. Basically this term was originated through the Greece, and in the term, if you understand the word electron is coming normally in the charge, that electrons refers to the amber. Amber was a material which was used for the first study of the charge, and that replicates the electron basically. So if I tell about if a glass rod is rubbed with some kind of silk cloth, or in other procedure we can say that the ebonite rod is rubbed with the cat furs, so it generates some kind of charges over there, and that is called as the static charge. So that charge comes from this particular origination. And then if we talk about how this charge initiates, because this charge has some kind of process through which it initiates, and that process is known as the friction. Because when we rub something, we generate some kind of charge, that is a static charge. And simply we have seen that if we take the simple glass rod and we rub with this silk cloth, we normally see the silk cloth, we will just find out that this glass rod will acquire certain charges, that is positive charge, and the silk cloth will acquire certain charge, that is negative charge. As a whole the charge is neutral, but it acquires certain charge. This is all because of the static charge. So this is the first process of initiation of electric charge. Now we'll understand about types of charges that I'll take in the next topic. Okay, now we'll study about the types of charges. See, we have to understand how many types of charges are there. So first of all, let's take the first one is called as the positive charge, and second one is the negative charge. There is no existence of any third kind of charges so far. So we'll understand how this positive charge and negative charge comes on the surface of the material. So let's take some experiments to understand the types of charges, how they can be formed on the surface. So simple example I'll just give you. Suppose we have the glass rod, and the glass rod is suspended through some thread, is an insulated kind of material, and then after rubbing it with the silk cloth, we have discussed earlier also silk cloth, it acquires certain charges. Now what we do, we just keep it near to the another rod which has been rubbed with the silk cloth again and brought close to the same rod. What happens really, it just repel each other. So that is a charge that has been developed on both the rods, and they are of same polarity. That means if they have the charge positive, so both rods have the positive charges. That means like charges repel each other. That's what we have mentioned here. That means they are going to repel each other. And suppose we take another example, and now we are taking example with the ebonite rod. Now the ebonite rod is a separate material. It's being rubbed on the cat's furs, and then we see that again another rod which is being the ebonite rod, and again it being rubbed with the cat's furs, and now both have acquired the same charges. Now the charges are changed. Now again they've been brought together. What we going to find out again? We find out that again they're going to repel each other. That means like charges always repel each other. That is called the initiation of the charges here. Now how we can find out the unlike charges then? Suppose in the same condition, now we change it. We change it like that. We take the glass rod and rub with the silk cloth, and now we brought it near to the ebonite rod which is being rubbed with the cat's furs. Now both have different kind of charges that acquire on the surface. Now they're going to attract each other. That means they are unlike charges. That's why they call the attraction of each other. That means two types of charges being studied here, positive charge and negative charge, and it all depends upon the what kind of material you are using, how they can acquire charges, how they can induce charges to the other material. And now we'll take the next topic in which we understand about how these charges further being studied to understand the more detail in the topic. Now we'll take the next topic further. Now we'll understand the types of charges through the figure also. Now you can see the figure, this one, in this particular figure A, we can see that the glass rod is being tied to the thread and it is being brought to the nearby rod, which is again a glass rod and has also developed the positive charge. Why it happens? Because these two rods are being rubbed with the silk cloth and both have acquired the positive charge. Now these two rods, which is also the glass rod, now this is also the glass rod. Now these two rods when are brought together, because they have developed the positive charges, so they are just repelling each other. So that's kind of repulsion which you can see in the figure. Why it happens? Because here we know that the glass rod is something which can be rubbed with the silk cloth and it acquires certain charges. The time when it is rubbed with the silk cloth, it acquires positive charge. At the same time, the silk cloth acquires the negative charge. When these two types of rods being brought together, we see the process of repulsion. That means like charges repel each other. Now, the second example you can see in the figure here, what we have shown. Here we have seen the ebonite rod. Now the materials change. The process is almost same because here the ebonite rod when rubbed with the cat furs acquired certain charges, which is negative charge being shown in the figure. Now when these ebonite rod comes near to the another ebonite rod which is acquires the same kind of charges, then they again start repelling each other. That means repulsion again started. So the basic thumb rule here is that if we have the like charges, so they will be repelling each other, and if you have again the like charges but opposite polarity, repelling each other. But in case the charges are unlike, now we can see in the third example here very clearly. Suppose we have taken the glass rod here, that's fine, but in place of glass rod we have taken the ebonite rod here. Now ebonite rod has acquired some different charges, which is the negative charges over here. So when these two rods are brought closer to each other, because their polarity is different, so they can very easily attract each other. So the kind of force here is the attraction. That means unlike charges, suppose we have plus and minus, they will going to attract each other. So that is a thumb rule here, that if we try to find out the types of charges are of two types, positive charges and negative charges. And how these charges acquire, it depends on the material. Suppose we have taken certain rod, rubbed with certain material, it acquires certain positive charge, so it will going to repel the again positive charge. But if it is acquiring certain negative charges and it is being brought closer to the rod which is positive charge, so they are going to attract each other. So these three figures will very well explain about the charges, their accumulation and how they behave when they brought closer to the similar type of charges or polarity. Now there are certain few points about the charges which need to emphasize. These points are very important to understand the charges. So I take one by one certain points and I try to elaborate it for your betterment. So first point is that how this term positive and negative charge came into being. Who told about you about the positive charge and negative charge? It is all about the Benjamin Franklin, who has introduced this term for the first time. What are positive charges and what are negative charges? And that's what we are always studying, these kind of charges, positive and negative. And I have told earlier also, there is nothing kind of any third kind of charges are there. Only two types of charges are there. So according to the modern concept, because now it was a very old story that we have discussed about the types of charges, their accumulation and the material. Now we discuss about the matter, because in the modern concept and the modern physics, we talk about the matter, and matter is made up of atoms. We all know atoms. Atoms means that it has certain nucleus, it has certain electrons, some kind of positrons or positive charge particles are also there. So how we can explain it? Let's take a simple example of the atom. I'll just draw for you. Suppose atom is there. An atom has nucleus, okay. There may be certain electrons which are there in the orbits related to the nucleus. So the atom basically has nucleus, it has electrons. Suppose these are the electrons. So these are the electrons, this is a nucleus, and there is a, in nucleus, what actually is there? In nucleus we know that there are protons and neutrons. Protons means those are positively charged, and neutrons, they are the neutral, they have no charges. But apart from this neutron and protons, there is also a term called as electrons. Now electrons are also there. What is the role of electrons? They have a very important role on the flow of charge in the conduction, that we'll understand later on. So we understand the very important thing is that now in the modern concept, this matter is discussed in terms of atoms, and atom itself has protons, neutrons and electrons. Okay, suppose we need to understand how protons and neutrons play role in the formation of atoms. So we see that if we have to decide a kind of atomic structure of any material, suppose I talk about suppose sodium. So okay, sodium is one of the material. It has atomic number 11. So it has some kind of number of protons and neutrons and electrons are there. So atomic number is 11. That means electronic configuration will be 281. That means outermost shell it has only one electron. But basically it is a kind of metal, because metal always have a free electron or very easily feeble electron in the outermost shell that can be very easily removed. So that all depends upon the atom and the matter. Now we just discuss something about the protons. Protons are basically positive charged particles. Okay, because we know that neutrons is also there in the nucleus and they don't have any charge in it. Okay, now if we try to understand about the certain material has excess number of electrons. Suppose I say some material X has the excess number of electrons. Electrons are more in that material. That means that material will show some kind of negative charge particles. Like this, suppose we have to discuss about the certain materials are there which have very less number of electrons. If they have they have a deficiency of electrons, that means they are positively charged particles. So we have to bifurcate like that. There are certain materials which have excess number of electrons, they are negatively charged particles, and if they have less number of electrons, they are deprived of the electrons, that means they are positively charged particles. And now why we discuss about the electrons all the time in this study? We are concerned about these particular term electrons, because if we need to understand the material, in fact the conductors are the materials in which charge flow takes place very easily. And how this charge flow takes place? It is possible only because of the flow. And why this flow takes place? Because the electrons are there. Once the electrons are there, the flow will be very easy. So that differentiate the two terms, what is called as the conductors and what is called as the non-conductors. Suppose someone asks you how you differentiate between the conductors and non-conductors or insulators. So you have to say this thing, that conductors are the material in which the flow of electrons is there. Electrons can very easily move from one place to other place because their band gap is pretty zero, almost not there. So they can very easily move. But in case of insulators or non-conductors, the flow is restricted because there is no free electron available there. Because I have shown in the figure, suppose I plot this figure like this. This sodium has some kind of geometry like this. Suppose, now you can see it has 2 electrons and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And in the outermost shell, it has only 1 electron. And this 1 electron can be very easily removed because it has a less force of attraction between the nucleus. And that force is little feeble. So that can be very easily removed. So that means it will show conductivity. So that means that material can be called as conductor. So we can say this comes into the definition of the conductors. Now we'll take this topic further to emphasize how this charge can be formed by different methods, like by conduction, by induction, or some other method that we take in the separate name topic. So now we'll discuss about the charging by friction. As we discussed earlier, there can be charging by conduction process also. So this is one of the process by which we can discuss about the charging. Now, how this charging can be done by friction? We all know friction means we have to rub something. Here also, when two objects are rubbed together, then the electricity produced is known as the electric friction. That means we have to discuss something about the frictional part of the electricity. That means we need to have some kind of objects which we have to rub together, and we have to find out how they can create or initiate the charge. Okay, so in this process, there is a transfer of electrons from one object to another object. That is what we have to discuss over here. That means we have to find out certain material in which when we rub them, we find out there is a transfer of electron that takes place from one object to another object, and the object which loses the electron, that is called as the positively charged object, and the object which gains the electrons, that becomes the negatively charged object. So we have to just elaborate it in detail so that we can understand what actually this terms means. Suppose, for example, we take again the glass rod that we discussed earlier also, and we rubbed it with the silk cloth. Okay, the glass rod becomes positive. Now you can see this becomes positive. So how it becomes positive? Because glass rod when rubbed with the silk cloth, earlier if it was kept alone and it was been rubbed, that means no charge was created as such. But once it is being rubbed with the silk cloth, so what happens? It creates a positive charge, and at the same time the silk cloth which was used for rubbing with the glass rod it acquires the negative charge. That means two types of charges again initiated here. One is called as the positive charge, which was there with the glass rod when it was rubbed with the silk cloth, and that is all done because of the rubbing process. Rubbing means we are talking about the friction. We are talking about the electric friction. That means something being initiated because of rubbing. Earlier it was not possible to just find out, okay, we have the glass rod with us and we find out that whether it is positively charged or negative charge. No one can say because it is not being rubbed. The moment it is rubbed, then only it initiates to show that some charges are there which acquire on the surface of the rod, and that is what is called as the positively charged. So now we have to understand that there are certain materials in which they have a tendency, if they are rubbed together, they show some kind of charges. And very clearly we can see in the table, I've made some table for you because there are certain materials, they are very important material, just to understand how they can initiate charge formation and what kind of charges can be formed on these materials. So let us take one by one. I'll take the first one, what we have discussed right now, that is the glass rod. So again, that glass rod is the one which is in the column first, and the charge it initiates on rubbing becomes the positive charge. And how? The other material in the column 2 is the silk cloth, which will be showing you the negative charge. That means these two materials when rubbed together will show some kind of charges, but at a whole, the total electric charge will be neutral because the summation of positive and negative charge is neutral always. So as such, they are not other charge present, but in general, we discuss about that the charge that acquired on the surface of glass rod is positive, and at the same time on silk cloth is negative. Similarly, if we go to the next point, that is the cat skin, that we call as a cat's fur. Okay, here also we see that it will develop a kind of positive charge when it is rubbed with either the plastic rod or with the ebonite rod. So if we use these two materials separately and we just use them and we just rub them together. So what is going on now? We can understand the term is again highlighting is the friction. That means friction is doing work. That means rubbing is a frictional process. And that is called as electrification. That is, electric friction is there, which actually we are studying now. So the charges can be made by certain process. It can be done by the friction also. And these are some of the examples. So we have taken the example further now. That is a woolen cloth. We all know what this woolen cloth means. We have using this woolen cloth since long. So whether it is also creating some kind of charges over there. Yes, it is also creating some charges. Like if we use the woolen cloth and we rub it with the amber. Amber is a material. We discussed earlier also. That was a Greek name for the electron. We have discussed earlier. The Greeks, when it was discussed about the charges. Okay. So now similarly, when the woolen cloth is rubbed with either ebonite rod or with rubber or with plastic, the kind of charges it acquires on the surface is very clearly shown that it will show you the positive charge and these material will show you the negative charge. So that a very clear indication is coming over here that how we can find out, identify what kind of charges being developed on the material. It depends on the type of material, what we are using and how they are being used. If you keep this material ideally separately, they are not going to initiate any charge. But the moment they are just rubbed together, they will show some kind of charges that comes into the category of charging by friction. I hope it is now clear. So now we'll understand, apart from this method, what are the other methods to initiate the charges. And the important method after this would be charging by conduction. Okay, what can be the charging by conduction? That means, suppose if I need to show you like this, suppose conductors are the materials in which charge flows very easily. We know it very well. Like conductors are the material in which the electron flow is very fast and it's very easily take place. Why it is happening like this? Because conductors have the tendency to just initiate some kind of flow of electron that can be very easily taken place in the conductors, which is not possible in insulators or non-conductors. So that means that this is also one of the method by which we can initiate the charging. That means you need to have certain material. Suppose I discuss like this. I have some material with P which is charged. Suppose it is positively charged. And I have some other material which is suppose uncharged. So what is the effect of charging over here? When these two materials are kept apart, it will not going to affect each other. The moment I bring these two materials near to each other and suppose they are brought very close to each other, there is a redistribution of charge that takes place itself. There is a very important property of the charging. Suppose we brought two materials together and they are very close to each other, such that there is a redistribution that takes place and because of which the charging again initiates. And how it happens? Because we know that there are certain materials which are not charged but they become charged on bringing close to the other materials. Similarly, if I talk about this happens only when we are talking about the conductors. This happens only when we talk about the conductor. Suppose conductor A is there and I use conductor A is there and it is being charged and it is brought close to the, suppose, a material which is uncharged. It is a possibility that when these two materials are brought together, some kind of charge will also transfer on the surface of this material and it will be evenly distributed. But provided that this material should be a conductor. If you talk about non-conductor, this will not applicable, because in non-conductors or insulator, this thing is not possible, that you brought certain material and you find out that there is some kind of charge distribution which is not applicable there. So we will take this part in detail through some figure also, so that it will be more clear to you, and how we can explain through figure that how the charge distribution takes place if you brought some charged particle near to the uncharged one, and then how distribution takes place either in case of positive charge or either in case of the negative charge material. That I will take right now after this talk. So as we were discussing about the charging by conduction, so I will show you by the figures now. Now this figure which is showing you something about the insulated part of the two conduction objects. These two conduction objects are shown in this figure and we can name it that figure number A, suppose. And similarly this is figure number B and this figure number C. Now in figure number A we can see that there are two conduction objects. One is positively charged and the other one is uncharged. Uncharged means it does not have any kind of charge, but they are near to each other and they are insulated from each other. That means they are not in conducting position now. So now this is position number A. Now if we talk about the position number B, when you brought these two objects close in contact with each other, now you can see these two are now just in this position. They are just touching each other. They are in contact. Now the charge distribution takes place as if itself in both the conduction objects, and it redistributes itself. Now you can see that the charge from this particular conductor is going to this conductor in this particular case number 2 or B case. Now what actually happens? It happens only when we have some kind of conductors which is charged is brought in close contact with the uncharged conductor, but it has to be conductor, and then it just transfer like this. That is called as the charge distribution that takes itself on its own on both the conduction objects. Now you can see in this figure that both the conduction objects are having certain charge now, and now once they have gained the charge, it acquires the charge on the surface. Now you can see that both the conductors are having certain charges on the surface, and now it is shown in the figure number C. So that means it is very clear from the topic itself that charging can be done by the conduction process. If you have two conduction objects, one is charged, one is uncharged, the one which is charged, it is brought close to the uncharged object, it may induce certain charge on the uncharged conductor also by the process of conduction. And how it is possible? Because when they are brought close in contact with each other, the kind of process which is called charge distribution that takes place on its own, and it distributes on the surface of the conductor normally. So it immediately transfers on the surface of the conductor, which can be very well seen in the figure number B. And finally they have been separated apart. Even then they are fully charged. Now you can see the charge, this one and this one, both are charged. Now it's been distributed amongst themselves. So this is one of the process of doing the charging by the conduction. Now the third process, which is also very important, is known as the charging by induction. So we have discussed till now how many charging process we have discussed. The first one we have discussed by charging by the friction. The second we have discussed about the charging by the conduction. Now we are taking the charging by the induction process. That means friction means rubbing the process, rubbing of the material together. Now the conduction means we are bringing the two materials together, and we find out what is the change in the charge distribution that takes place. Now the process is known as induction. Without bringing them in contact with each other, certain kind of charge that induces on the surface, that is called as induction. By the definition it is very easily clear. Process of inducing the opposite polarity charge on the uncharged object by bringing in contact with the charged object. That is all about the charging by the conduction process. Induction means you have certain material. Suppose a material A is there with you. I just tell like this, and A material has some kind of, suppose, positive charge, and some material B is there with you which is uncharged. We have not brought close to that particular material, but certain kind of charge will induce on the surface of the material, that is called as the induction. So once the charge is induced on the surface of the material, that is becomes the unlike charges, and when it becomes unlike charges, that means they will start attracting each other. This is one of the important properties of this charging by induction. That means we have to find out how the charged object attracts an uncharged object. What is that force that makes it to attract the uncharged object? That means we need to understand the process behind this is that an uncharged object, when comes closer to the charged object, due to induction process, the end of the uncharged particle, suppose this is uncharged object was there, and initially it was not charged, and it was brought close to this charged object, it induces kind of opposite polarity. Opposite polarity means suppose this is positive, so it will be negative. Suppose this is negative, then it will be positive automatically. That means such kind of polarity will develop on the surface which is facing that particular object. The surface which is near to that end. And once the opposite charges been developed on the surface, the kind of attractive force that works on here, and once the charges are opposite, they will try to attract each other. Now, how it is possible? Is there any relevant example that we can tell that about this particular topic? Yes, a very simple example I will tell you now. Suppose you have a comb with you. Normally everyone has a comb, and you need to do the comb regularly in a day. Suppose your hair are dry, and you do the comb in the dry hair. Once you do the comb and you take out your comb with you and you try to attract the bits of small piece of paper, very small piece of paper, you will be imagine that they are just trying to attract it very easily. That means some kind of traction is there. That is what is shown in this particular process. That means some kind of opposite polarity develops and it tried to pick up that particular small piece of paper. So this is how we can very easily explain. Charging can be done by three main processes. Till now we have understood. The first one is charging by friction. There we have to rub certain material. Material can be a rod, glass rod, it can be ebonite rod. If it is a glass rod, it's been rubbed with the silk cloth, it gives you some kind of charge on it. It can be a positive charge in case of glass rod, it can be a negative charge in case of ebonite rod. Certain materials which also show, apart from this ebonite rod, there can be a cat's fur, it can be a plastic, it can be rubber, any type of material. That also shows the charge initiation process. The second part which also creates charging is by the charging by the conduction process. That means we need to find out certain material, we have to find out if they brought near to each other. There is a process called conduction, that means transfer of particular charge from one body to another body. The condition is that it has to be uncharged and the body which has to be charged is the conductor. That conductor only can transfer the charge. And the third one we have discussed right now is the charging by induction, in which we do not have to bring the body near to that particular charged body, but the condition is that it has to be charged one and the charged one has to be conductor. And when we put like that, we see that certain types of opposite polarity that develops on the uncharged body, and because of that different polarity, the kind of unlike charges that takes place, and it gives you the force that is called as force of attraction. So this is all about the different process by which we can understand the charging. Now we'll take certain important points related to charging, which are the key points towards the understanding of these three topics in detail. I'll just tell you now. Now, after discussing about the different method by producing the charging by friction, charging by conduction, charging by the induction, now we are summarizing certain important points related to the charging of the object. Now, if we see these points very carefully, we understand that basically there are certain things which we need to understand about the charging of an object. Suppose we take the very first point over here, that if we take two identical metallic balls and we have given equal charges to them with opposite polarity, one has the positive charge and other has the negative charge. So theoretically, if we need to understand their masses, so we have to understand that the mass of the negatively charged ball will be more. Why? Because we understand that it has basically gaining more electrons. If someone is getting more electrons, it becomes more negative, and if it becomes more negative, that means its mass will going to increase. So theoretically, we can say that this is also one of the important aspects which we relate from the study, what we have studied so far. So now this is one of the important points. The second point which is also important is that if we need to identify the electrification test, suppose we need to identify what kind of electrification is going on between these two objects. So that cannot be done by the attraction. It is only repulsion that tells you about the total electrification. Why? The thing is why. You know, ask me that why is not attraction, why only repulsion will tell you about the electrification part. So the thing is that if we just recall what we did earlier, that if we can brought certain charged object near to the uncharged object, it might attract them. So it is not always the case that force of attraction will tell you the electrification part. It is only the repulsion part will tell you that if they both have the same kind of charges, their polarity is same, so then it can show very easily about the electrification part. So this is one of the important outcome of the whole study we have done so far. That has to be very carefully understand. Okay, now we'll just tell you something about the detection part. There are certain device by which we can very easily find out the charge, its detection part, and that material or that can be done by the testing can be done by the gold leaf electroscope. That's one of the important instrument. So that gold leaf electroscope will tell you, suppose if we do certain charge, in this setup I'm going to show you in the figure also, it's shown here, that suppose this is the setup of the gold leaf electroscope here, in which we can see there's a kind of bottle or a kind of jar is there, in which the metallic disc is kept over the top. After that there is a cork is there, and the metallic rod which is shown in this particular region. This metallic rod actually has acquired certain positive charge. Okay, now at the bottom of part of this rod, you can see there are certain two strips are there. These are known as the gold strips, and these strips two are just attached to this particular end, and they are almost apart. Now how we can find out that the charge being introduced in this particular setup? By introducing certain object near to that particular metal disc, and if they have certain kind of charges over them, if they brought near to that metal disc, it will introduce certain more charges. The moment it acquires more charges, and you will see that the charges are of same polarity, because of which these two strips will start repelling each other. That means it shows that the process is going on here. We can identify certain charge we introduce here, and the charge we introduced here was of the same polarity. That means if we brought certain object near to that particular place, it shows that the metallic rod over here acquires more positive charge. The moment it acquires more positive charge, the bottom part which shows you the two separate gold strips, they will start repelling each other because of the same polarity of the charges. And it being opposite charge, it is going to start attracting each other. So that means that is very clear over there. Once we can find out how much charge is introduced over there, by what parameter it is going to change. So that means that can be done very easily by the gold leaf electroscope which is shown in the figure. Now this is one of the important setup by which we have studied so many new charges that can introduce in the system and how it can identify them according to our need. Now the very important point which is mentioned over here is the, suppose we have certain electromagnetic radiations, and these radiations, suppose I talk about the X-rays. We have all heard about the X-rays. X-rays come into the category of electromagnetic radiations. That means their wavelength is pretty low. If you can see the wavelength of X-rays, its wavelength range is 1 angstrom to 10 angstrom. And if I tell you something about angstrom, I hope you all know that 1 angstrom is always equals to 10 to the power minus 10 meter. This is the conversion part. That means its wavelength is pretty 1 angstrom, which can be very, very dangerous also. That's why we always say that X-rays cannot be seen, should not be seen by the eyes. You should be away from the X-rays because they are electromagnetic radiation that can enter into your body, they can burn cells also. Now, if these electromagnetic radiations of wavelength of the range 1 angstrom to 10 angstrom, when they strike on the metal surface, what actually happens? It emits electron from the surface. Suppose it emits the electron from the surface, and if electron removes from the surface, what actually happens? It acquires what type of charge? It acquires basically the positively charged. Because when something is being striking on the surface and removing the electron from the surface, that shows you that it has shown a positively charged. So that is one of the story that we understand from the whole study what we have done so far. That means to understand or summarize charged particles, we need to understand that whenever we talk about the charging of an object, we have to be very careful in understanding by what means we can charge them. Either we are charging them by the friction method, either we are charging them by the conduction method, or we are charging them by the induction method. All these three methods are equally important. If we take the charging by friction, we need to identify the material, what material we are using. If we are talking about the glass rod, then we need to find out what kind of material can be rubbed with that rod and that makes it positively charged. Similarly, if we take about the Evonet rod, we need to understand what kind of material it should be rubbed with so that it acquires the negative charge. So these are the certain ways of initiating the charge by the process of friction. Friction means rubbing process. And what we have discussed earlier about the conduction part, in that particular portion, we know that conductors are the most important material in conduction of the charge, and for that we need to understand what kind of material should be brought close to the conductors. We have seen in the previous study material that conduction can be done by bringing that uncharged body near to the charged one, and then we can find out there is a redistribution of charge that takes place that can be very easily understood from that particular part. And as far as induction part is concerned, when we are not trying to bring the body close in contact, we are just bringing the body near to that particular body, not in close contact, that is can be done by the induction process. That means we can create certain charge by just creating the opposite polarity. Suppose we brought certain charged body and we are trying to bring uncharged body near to that body, so it is only that it may initiate a opposite polarity on the end of the body which is close to that particular charged body. That creates a kind of force that is called force of attraction. So these are some of the areas what we have discussed so far, and these are important points which we need to understand about the topic. And this is one of the important machine or material we can find out by using the gold leaf electroscope, by which we can very easily identify the charge which is being introduced in the system and how it affects the movement of the gold leaves present there in the figure. Now we'll just discuss about the unit of charge. What is the important unit of charge we use? We all seeing this charge manywhere, but we have to understand what kind of unit it has. It has a unit called coulomb. So we all know that coulomb is the unit of charge, which is shown by the capital C. Now in SI system, if we need to express the charge, it is always related to the current. We know that in SI system, which is the normally standard international system unit, we know that the current has a symbol I and its unit is ampere. So if we talk about the current, so how it is related to charge, we can write down that Q equals to IT, where I is the current and T is the time. That means we can relate that these two things will add up to give you charge Q. So how we can see the dimension of the Q can be given? Very easily we can find out, because we know that I is the current which can be shown by the ampere A, and T is the unit has seconds. So we can very easily write down the dimension of the particular charge as M with 0 exponent, length is 0, time has 1 and current has 1 value because it has only ampere. So there are certain more conversion parts that can be used for the numerical purpose. You should understand, apart from the basic coulomb unit, there can be a small unit of charge that is called as the microcoulomb, that is called as the nanocoulomb, and this is the picocoulomb. That means 1 microcoulomb is written as 10 to the power minus 6 coulomb. Similarly, 1 nanocoulomb equals to 10 to the power minus 9 coulomb, and 1 picocoulomb is 10 to the power minus 12 coulomb. Now, where this quantity will be used? Suppose you have been given some numericals in which you have been given that the charge on the body is 1 microcoulomb. Now, find out the supposed force. In that condition, you have to first convert the microcoulomb into simple coulomb, and then you have to put the values in the formula so that you can summarize it like that. So this is one of the important unit. And if we talk about the CGS system of unit, which is normally not being used in the system, but it can be written as 1 coulomb can be also written as 3 to the power 9 static coulomb. That can be one of the other unit of the charge in the CGS system. That is called, okay. And if we talk about the one of the most important unit normally we discuss is the Faraday, when Faraday equals to 96500 coulomb, which is also one of the important unit of the charge. So in all, we have discussed so many things about charge, that how charge can be initiated, types of charges, how they can be made by the process of conduction, induction, friction. So I hope students, you have to understand these things very importantly and understand each and every aspect what I have discussed now, so that you can memorize them, understand them, and apply to your numerical part. And we'll take next of the topic in our next session after that.